So let me welcome you tonight to our very first Babies Down Bottles Up guest. She is an internationally published model, a nationally qualified bodybuilder, a business owner of Blind Fury Fitness, and winner of Miss Blind Diva 2020 pageant, Brittany Culp.
Yay!
Welcome.
Hi, Britt. Welcome. Thank you for being with us.
Yes, thanks for asking me. I was super happy whenever you reached out.
Well, we're excited that you are our very first guest.
I have a question before we get started. How did you and Jocelyn meet?
Me and Jocelyn met through the NFB. We were a part of a program that they had called Project Change, where they were helping find college students with internships to get work experience.
Mhm.
And in between that time, we had to attend like little conventions or whatever through TABS, Texas Association of Blind Students. And that's how we met. And then even after that ended, we still hung out and like would meet up at random places to go drink and stuff. So
Pretty much. There's a trend in my life. I just
yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
So I've known Jocelyn probably since like 2012 or 2013, something like that. Yeah.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Me and Britt have some of the best party stories.
Yeah.
Well, you guys have to share some. Maybe later.
Yeah.
So, Britt, can you tell us kind of a little bit about you, where you're from, your background, maybe your eye condition, and your education, and how you got into fitness and modeling? We'd love to hear your story.
So it all started when I was a fetus. No, I'm from Corpus Christi, Texas, which is like down south, probably about 2 hours from Mexico. And I wasn't born and raised in Corpus. I actually was growing up in Bishop, which is about 30 minutes away. I went to a college in a neighboring town, which is called Kingsville. I went to Texas A&M University, Kingsville. So when I was 5 years old, I was diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa, or RP, because it isn't it's a mouthful to say. So I've been losing my sight gradually since then. I'm 29 now. I still maintain a little bit of vision, but it's not exactly what I would call useful or reliable. I went and got blindfold training at Chris Cole Rehabilitation Center in Austin, Texas, whenever I was 18. To learn how to function independently and fully as a completely blind person, so that I didn't have to worry if all my vision went or not. My doctor originally told me I was supposed to be completely blind by the time I was 21. But the thing with RP is that everybody's progression pattern is so different. They really can't say for certain. It's kind of a bullshit timeline. So, so just going with the flow, it is what it is. And as for modeling, that's a complicated one. So,
so which one came first? Was it fitness or modeling?
Oh, modeling came first. So it's really weird, actually. So I started out as a singer. I was into music heavily.
Wow.
Especially whenever I was living in Austin, going to Chris Cole, because I started getting like more cane training and being more independent and going places. And Austin's real big on music.
Yes.
So when I was there, I would go to open mic nights. I would go to karaoke. I would do all these things. They even asked me to sing the national anthem at like White Cane Day, which is big in Austin. So a lot of things. And on the radio, still when I was there at Chris Cole, like I heard that they were holding a open casting at the Texas Acting and Modeling Academy for singers, dancers, actors, and models. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to go and see what this is all about, because it's not anybody I know. So if they think I suck, well, I'll never see them again anyway.
Right.
And
that's what I think when I'm in other cities too.
Like nobody's going to follow up. Like I'm going to tell them my name is Francesca or something. So they try to look me up on Facebook. Like,
My name
won't
is
pop
Kim from Mississippi.
Right?
My name is Francesca, and I'm a French model. So yeah, so I went to that, and the scouts were from Wilhelmina Model Management. They were from LA. So Wilhelmina has a branch in New York and LA. So they were from LA. And I went in there and I sang my song. And when I was done, one of the agents asked me, "So do you play an instrument?" And I said, "No." And she's like, "Well, do you write your own music?" And I said, "Well, no, I've only really been taking singing seriously for like the past 2 years." And then she said, "Okay." She's like, "You have a great voice, but music is just so hard to tap into when you don't play an instrument. And if you're not already kind of a composer and into making your own music," she's like, "Have you ever thought about modeling?" And I thought that she was like
Oh,
fucking with me, because
wow.
I was like, no. Because nobody ever really told me I was pretty. So I was just like, like when I was a senior in high school, I got on the ballot for like most attractive. And like, I was just like, well, it's a small school of like there was like 86 people in my class. I was like, so the bar was set really low. Just kidding. But, I didn't really have that confidence in myself. So when she said that, I didn't really know how to take that. So I just told her no. And she's like, "Okay, well, you should really think about that." And what they were doing was, once you left, they were going to call you the next day if they were interested in you. So I did get a call from her, and she's like, "So obviously, music, I don't think that's for you right now." She's like, "But I really want you to get some formal training in modeling because I think you have a very good look." And at this time, I didn't have any tattoos. Right now, I have quite a bit. But at this time, I was a completely blank canvas. I was a little on the hefty side at that time, believe it or not. So she didn't really she didn't even tell me I needed to lose weight or anything, which I was surprised. She's like, "I just want you to get some formal training, like work on posing and walking and things like that." And she recommended me to the Acting and Modeling Academy there in Austin. But I was getting ready to already graduate Chris Cole in like a month. So I was like, all right, I'll just put this on the back burner because I'm going to start college in like a few months in Kingsville. So I went to college and I just kind of was like, whatever. But I did want to start kind of working on myself. So I kept up with music a little bit. I started doing running. I was real into running. I didn't really know much about fitness. I just knew I wanted to lose weight in case I ever did decide to get into modeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I just couldn't stop thinking about what she told me. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to reach out and see what's going on in Corpus. And I went to a casting call in Corpus it was like this modeling group. Basically, they were like brand ambassador models. They would get hired to work like concerts and events and things like that. And I went to a casting call for that. And when I was there, by this time I think I had my first half sleeve on my arm or whatever. And Crush Girls is like more of a girl next door kind of look. So I was already kind of going against the norm. So when I went in there, he was just like, he interviewed me for like 20 minutes. And then he basically told me like, "So I don't think you're a good fit for Crush Girls, not even because of your tattoos." He's just like, "I just don't think that you're very marketable." And I knew he meant because of my disability.
Crazy.
So I just said, "Okay, that's one opinion." And because I already knew, if I was already told by somebody from Wilhelmina, a bigger agent than this bullshit person in Little Corpus Christi, that I was going to take her word over him.
Right.
Sure. So I just said, "Okay, that's one opinion." And he's like, "Well, maybe you should like start networking with photographers and get a book going and all of that." So that was some useful advice I could take. So I did. I started reaching out to some photographers and just getting experience and comfortable being in front of the camera. And some didn't want to work with me because of my disability. Because I would tell them before, I would never just show up and be like, "Hey," because when you go and you take the time to put outfits together and get your hair and makeup done, the last thing you want is for it to be awkward. Like, so I would just tell them before. And if they didn't want to work with me, well, that means it wasn't going to be a good fit anyway. And it would have been awkward and a waste of my time. So the ones that did work with me were really great though. And then I had some like referrals for if anybody else wanted to work with me. So that was good. And then I just started competing more like in like inked model contests, got placings in those. And after that is when I got into fitness, and it kind of just fell in my lap. Like I went from being 160 pounds down to 108 pounds. And
I think that's
I'm
when I
5'8".
met you, when you were
Yeah,
really small.
you met me when I was really little. I remember because you were like, we were getting dressed to go out one night and you picked up one of my crop tops and you're like, oh my God, this would only fit one of my boobs.
Yeah.
That sounds like something you would say.
It does. Just
She's like, it's so little. And I was like, stop. Like, because I had a flat chest at that time. I was like, you're so rude.
I meant it as a compliment.
I know she did. She did. She's like, you like my little Barbie doll? And I was like, okay, I'll take that. So yeah, because I would run 6 miles almost every day. And it's not that I was like starving myself or anything. It's just, I just was really into running and I was trying to get that model's body. And I was just kind of tired of it. I wanted a more curvaceous figure.
Yeah.
So I was already thinking about getting into weightlifting, and I guess it was just like God sending me a sign because I'm scrolling through Facebook and I saw an advertisement for a local bodybuilding competition here in Corpus, and I was reading more up on it, and they had the bikini division. So the thing about bodybuilding is that people think everyone is like a mass monster. And there are those categories, but there's different categories in bodybuilding depending on your level of muscularity. So it's for like the guys, it's bodybuilding, then a step down is classic physique, then a step down below that is men's physique. And then for women, it's pretty similar. So it's like women's bodybuilding, women's physique, figure, wellness, and then bikinis at the bottom. So bikini's the least muscular. It's more of a fitness model kind of look. And I was like, that's it. That's the kind of look that I want to go for. And I was never encouraged to play sports growing up because I was, like I said, I went to a small school. I was like maybe one of 3 visually impaired people. And whenever I tried to do weightlifting and like athletics, they just didn't know what to do with me. Like it was just kind of like tossed to the side. So I was like, all right, if I want to do this, obviously I'm going to have to hire a personal trainer because I don't know what I'm doing. All I know is running. So I hired my first personal trainer at the college. And I got really into weightlifting and I just like liked it. And I said, okay, I'm going to commit to doing this competition the following year that they have it. And that's what I did. And I did my first show. I didn't place very well, but I knew I wouldn't because some of those girls had been doing this for a long time. I just wanted to compete and see if I liked it because I tell everybody, if you're thinking about trying something new, like it's better to just try it and then realize it's not for you than not try it and wonder what if. So I was like, I'm either going to try it and be like, well, that was cool. I'm over eating asparagus and fish. Now let's go do something else. Or I'm going to like fall in love with it and want to get better. And that's what happened. I did my first one and I just wanted more. And I just kept going and going. And I ended up getting a supplement sponsor who I'm sponsored by to this day, Rock's Discount Vitamins. They started out with just like 3 stores here in Corpus, and now they have about 20 all over Texas.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, really good company. And then after that, I finally started placing higher and higher. And then finally in 2017, I won my first place trophy. And that qualified me to go to nationals in Miami the following year. And I went there. And I got my ass kicked because it's like going from a local show to a national show is like a total mindfuck. Because
But I mean, just the fact that you were there, though.
Right.
Amazing.
yeah, so that's the thing. Like everybody at nationals has won a show in their state.
Right.
So everybody who's there is there to play and there to
It's
win
the
a
big
pro
leagues.
card.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I didn't get like the bottom. I placed kind of in the middle, which was good for my first national show. So after that, I took a year off. And then I did another show and I didn't get qualified for nationals like I wanted. So I said, you know what, I'm going to venture out and see what other sports are out there. And that's when I did powerlifting for a little while. And I placed at that as well, which was fun. And then I missed bodybuilding. So I did it again in August and I qualified for nationals again. So now I'm going to go to Vegas in July.
That is so
Sounds
awesome.
fun.
Yeah. And then recently I started learning jiu-jitsu. So I may or may not compete in that a year from now. Like, who knows? I'm learning how to be thrown right now, so that's fun.
I took a
So-
semester of jujitsu, and it was hard as a blind person to get all the moves down. But I mean, I
Yeah.
imagine you have someone that does it
Well,
one-on-one.
it's also harder when you learn it older. Like most blind people who are really good at judo and jujitsu, like started getting into that when they were like 8 or 9 or 10.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And as they get older, their muscle memory just gets better and better. So it's like, it's a little harder learning it as an adult, but it's not impossible. Like, I'm just here, like laying after a lesson, laying in bed and like doing these things with my arms. And my boyfriend does MMA. So he's like, "Are you practicing?" And I was like, "Yes, I need to get like the muscle memory of what a triangle is, because I can't picture it in my head like I would if I saw it." But the funny thing is that when you get in a lot of those like crazy positions in jiu-jitsu, the sighted people can't see either. Like, especially if your arms are behind you, you need to imagine in your head how you're going to get out of that position. You don't get to see what it looks like. So it just takes practice. But I wanted to learn it just to something different, and self-defense, of course. And who knows, maybe if I get really good at it, I will compete. But bodybuilding has my heart. It always will. And of course, doing bodybuilding along with modeling, that's how I got more into the fitness side of modeling. And I got published in the 2019 issue of Strong Fitness magazine, and then the 2020 winter issue of Oxygen magazine, which is the #1 women's workout magazine. Which, if you'd have asked me like 6 years ago when I first got into bodybuilding and I didn't do well, I never would have thought I would have been in that magazine. So I just, like I said, yeah, it's like I said, you just never know what you're capable of until you just keep going, and it's kind of like a river. You just let it take you where it's going to take you.
Oh, I like that.
So I have a question. When you started working out, had you tried working out before in your life? How did you fall in love with it? How did you keep at it? Was it just seeing results, or was it like just this drive in you that you just wanted to keep doing it?
So, like I had said, I just at first would run, and that was therapeutic in its own way. And I thought that was going to be enough for me. But then, like I told you, I wanted a specific body type that wasn't what I already had, and I didn't know how to get there. So when I was really intimidated, and I think I hear this a lot, especially working as a personal trainer now myself. A lot of women especially are intimidated to go into a gym because they're feared of like doing something wrong and being judged for it, or being judged for the way that they look. So me, I knew that I would probably feel more comfortable and confident hiring a trainer, because at that point you're learning. You're not only being guided, but you're learning, and you can implement skills if you decide to go on your own. So yeah, it was at first like just being in there and getting stronger every couple of weeks. That was addicting. And then of course after that, like, you start to see progress, and then you get even more motivated. And for me, it was just, it was therapeutic. That's honestly what it was, because before college and before I even went off to Chris Cole, like I was in a really emotionally abusive relationship, and I just did not have I didn't feel like I had any purpose. Like that relationship really took a lot out of me and made me question my life. And even the years after I left that toxic relationship and had others in between, like the effects from that, especially because I was with this person for like 3 years, from like ages 15 to 18. And those are like really formative years. Like,
for sure,
those are your teens when you're really figuring out who you are as a person. And this person was 4 years older than me. So they were kind of in a position of power, I guess you could say. And it really fucked with my self-esteem. Like, I'm not gonna lie. So I never really had anything to channel that into. I did channel that into drinking and partying at one point. And that was before fitness. So I do tell people, like, fitness literally saved me. It's just something that you go in there and it's you versus you.
I was just gonna say, like, it's so different when you're doing something for yourself.
Yeah, it's self-care, and your results are 100% completely dependent on the effort that you put into it. Even if you're working with a trainer, you're only working with that trainer 1 hour a day. What are you doing the other 23 hours of your day?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's very rewarding, and it taught me a lot of patience too, because results don't come overnight. They don't come in weeks. You have to just keep going. And even the days that there's been days where, like, a lot of people ask me, like, how do you stay motivated to go work out 5-6 days a week? I'm like, I'm not always motivated. Like, some days I don't want to be there, especially after training people all day and then it's my turn to work out. I'm like, I want to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
But I have to think about, is me leaving and going and sitting on my couch going to get me the end goal? And the answer is no. So I stay, and usually by the first 15 minutes, once that's passed, like, your endorphins start to kick in, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm starting to feel good. The blood's going. And you're like, I've already been here 15 minutes. I'm going to try to make it to 30. Then it's been 30. And you're like, all right, I'm just going to stay the full hour. So
true.
it was mentally, it wasn't good just for my body and my health physically. It really re-sculpted and reframed my mind and my way of thinking mentally. And I needed that.
Yeah, I think something that stood out to me was that you were talking about working out to be stronger, right? And I think, like, for me personally, like, that has been a key factor of why, like, I do keep working out, or why I've stuck with it, because I no longer work out to be smaller necessarily, but to see my own progress in, like, okay, well, 2 weeks ago I couldn't do these many burpees, or I couldn't do these many, like, jump squats, and look at me now. And
Yeah,
so I think,
endurance is a big thing. I mean, it's
yeah,
cool to look good, but if, like, you can't even, I don't know, lift your body weight up when you need to, like,
yeah.
that's not health. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I have a question. I'm a certified personal trainer myself, and I train mostly women. And I'm a huge advocate of strength training and weightlifting. So often I hear women express the hesitancy to lift weights because they are afraid to get bulky. What would you say to a woman who had that concern?
It's impossible.
That's what I say too.
It's impossible. The only way that you're going to look bulky is if you're taking steroids. And chances are you're probably not. Like, women, you have estrogen and feminine hormones, and you're just not going to look manly. If anything, it's going to enhance your feminine shape and give you X symmetry. Or if you want to refer to it as, like, the S curve.
Mhm.
And it actually is going to help you have a faster metabolism, because the more lean muscle mass you have, the
It
faster
burns more fat.
metabolism you have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that means you get to enjoy more food.
Always a
And
plus.
Yes. I say
yeah,
all
and
the time I lift weights so I can eat more food. Like, end of
yeah,
discussion.
exactly. And
That's what
then
I've noticed.
you're less likely to gain weight. You're more likely to keep that body fat off. It's good for your mood, and you're less likely to get injured when you have that strength as well. So it's impossible to look quote unquote manly unless you're taking illegal supplements.
So, like, I'm not a certified personal trainer, but I do health and wellness coaching. So I was one of those girls that was like, I don't want to lift weights because I don't want to get all bulky, right? And so I did one of these like muscle burns fat programs or whatever. And I can tell my arms are more defined. I do have a little bit more muscle in my arms, so it makes me stronger. And I was talking to some friends about it, and they were like, you shouldn't be lifting those weights. Like, you're gonna get all big. Like, how do you, like, I know you probably can't change people's misconceptions about lifting weights, but, like, what do you say to someone who's like headstrong about, like, no, that's not, you shouldn't do that. I know it's like you're saying it's impossible, but you could probably go back and forth like beating a dead horse with someone to tell them that it's impossible and they just don't understand.
Some people just don't want to change their mind. Like, I had this discussion earlier. Like, ignorance isn't necessarily a bad thing all the time. Sometimes, like, ignorance, literally all it means is a lack of education or a lack of knowing. so when ignorance like that becomes a problem is when you're literally laying out facts and people just don't want to change their mind because they just don't want to be wrong. And that's usually what it is. Like I see it all the time, even with trainers. Trainers that don't know how to like open their mind and keep up to date with current research or learn something, if they're not open to learning new things, it ends up affecting their work and their clients. And people who aren't open to hearing what other people have to say, like as if you're a person that works out, like at the end of the day, they're just choosing to remain ignorant, and it's not affecting anybody else but them. Like you said, you can only argue with somebody so much, and just what I usually say now is like, well, maybe I want to look like a man, leave me alone. So that usually ends the conversation, like, you know what I mean? But because I still get it to this day, like, oh, don't get too big, and I like, golly gee, I'll try, whatever. If anything's getting bigger, it's my ass, and that's what I want.
Right.
So.
Yes, I hope I do.
Well, no, I don't want mine to get bigger.
So I have one more question, and then I want to talk about your business. So working out is one thing. I feel like I personally can work out. I mean, now at least I can work out all day, every day. What I have issues with is eating right. And so how did you discipline yourself in your nutrition to eat better, or even learned what was good for you?
So when I was 160 pounds and living in Austin, like, girl, you know how good the food is. Everything delivered till like
breakfast
2 in the
tacos.
morning.
Oh my God. Breakfast
Whataburger.
Yeah. Yeah, like, and the Chris Cole Center was like right smack in the middle of everything. So like a block away was like Chili's, Starbucks,
Sonic you can walk
Sonic
across
was
the
right
street.
there. Oh my God, everything. And then Pluckers delivers till midnight. So it's like,
it's a trap.
Oh man,
they're setting you up to fail.
Right.
After I gained all that weight, and I came back for a doctor's visit, and I realized I gained that much weight, like I cried. I was like, "How did this happen?" And then I'm like, "Well, I know how this happened, but I don't want to say how." Like, you know, it's like a movie where like they start doing that time lapse, and you're like, "Oh, I was double fisting like burritos from Flippers."
It like happens overnight.
Crying in my bed, eating Ben and Jerry's. Like,
I'm just eating my feelings.
And that's the thing. No. So I was an emotional eater, and that's the thing. So like, how do you overcome like, you know, those things with food is like, you have to realize what you're using food for. And for me at that time, I was using food as comfort. And I wasn't using it to fuel my body, and I wasn't eating like when I was hungry. I was eating just for the sake of eating, or because I felt a certain way. And once I started running and doing all those things, that's when I started eating better, even though I got down to 108 pounds. And like I said, I wasn't doing it on purpose. I just didn't realize I wasn't eating appropriately for my body type. And that's where a lot of people go wrong too. So obviously, if you're a taller person, you're going to need more calories than somebody who's 4'11".
Shout out.
Also too, like depending on your activity level. So if you're more active, you can afford to eat more calories, and you can also have a cheat meal here and there, which is what I teach my clients a lot, is balance. Because I see people going on these crash diets. They're like, oh, I lost 20 pounds, and then they gain back 30. And I'm like, what was the point?
Yeah.
I noticed that. Like, well, I don't go on crash diets, but I noticed like since I've been working out more, I eat like shit, like, and it's not a really good thing, but I've been losing weight, and I'm not quite sure what's going on, but I think it's because I'm building more muscle, like you said, and so I'm burning more fat. I mean, my eating habits do need to be better, but I mean, I am where I am right now.
So like with my clients, it's like I said, I teach balance. So like even my mission statement, for my business is I help women transform their bodies and minds and maintain their results. So a lot of people will get you that transformation, but then what? Like, how do you keep it? So I teach my clients balance. So when I put somebody on a nutritional program, I hate the word diet, by the way. I hate it. When you hear the word diet, that implies something's going to be taken away. You're going to be eating lettuce all day.
In it.
It does.
Yeah, it's
dye.
It's dye with a T. Yeah.
Yeah.
That should be on a shirt.
Yeah.
It should.
Yeah, like with a
Merch.
like a little
Future
skeleton.
merch.
Yeah.
BBU merch.
Yeah, so I believe in nutrition because that's really what it is. It's balance. And so when I put somebody on a nutritional program, I am a little strict with them in the beginning just because I need to see where their metabolism is at. 'Cause some
Mhm.
people's metabolisms are fucked up.
Mhm.
Like
So
they've
true.
been starving themselves because they think less is more. Oh, I eat less, I'm going to lose more weight. And then what does that do? Their metabolism slows down because their body's in starvation mode,
Right.
so it's holding on to fat. So in the beginning, I'm a little more strict because I'm like, at this point, it's about fixing your metabolism. And then I slowly start adding in more what I call flexible foods. So like if you want to have a bagel, fine, I'm going to put it right in the morning because you're going to burn it off throughout the day. And then I'll start introducing cheat meals. Okay, I want you to have a cheat meal, but you're going to do it right after you lift on this day. And it's more strategic. And then so their body starts to do what it naturally needs to do to fix itself. And I teach people, when do you need to have these carbs? When is the best time to have that cheat meal? How hard do you need to work to where, you can go out and enjoy that girls' night and the chips and the salsa and do all that and just getting back on it the next day. So that's what I teach. And I think that's where my psychology background comes in, because I do have a master's degree in counseling psychology. And I ended up in the gym instead of in a therapy office. But I do
But that is therapy.
It
very
is.
much is.
For a lot of people, it is therapy. Of course, I don't counsel them because that's unethical and I could get in trouble for that. But when it comes to the relationship of food, a lot of it is the psychology behind
For
it. And
sure.
especially when it comes to sticking to a plan, whether it be a regimented training plan or just sticking to the end goal,
Yeah.
because a lot of people want to see that transformation in like 2 weeks. And I'm like, look, you've been eating like shit for 2 years. You're not going to see these huge results
It
in
takes
2 weeks.
time.
Or
It takes time.
clients wanting to lose a large amount of weight in a short period of time. And like, honey, it took you X amount of months/years to put this weight on. It's going to take time to come off. And
Yeah.
that's difficult to explain to people sometimes.
That and you want it to be slow because you're more likely to
Sustainable.
you're more likely to keep it off. And then too, if you lose it too fast, your skin is going to hang because the elasticity of the skin needs to kind of shrink
Adjust.
with
Yeah,
Okay,
that's for sure.
so does your body when you lose weight slowly or in a moderate amount of time, does your skin adapt to the weight that you're losing?
So Joss,
Yes.
I've lost nearly 100 pounds and I have very little to no loose skin because I did it over
Wow.
3
I didn't know
years.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why
Crazy.
people who get like bariatric surgery, like the sleeve and stuff, that's why they have so much loose skin, because they're losing it at such a
So
rapid
fast.
rapid rate that the elasticity of the skin just can't keep up. It's kind of like when you get pregnant and you get stretch marks. It's because your
Yeah.
belly is growing at a rapid rate.
Fast.
So it's the same thing when it needs to shrink. It's instead of getting stretch marks, it's gonna hang.
That's true.
So,
That's
yeah,
true
and a
because
lot of
I
people don't
remember
know that.
like after being pregnant, I wasn't fat. I lost all my weight, but I did have my little pouch. But that was like skin, and it took a little over a year for that to go back to what my stomach used to look like. But I didn't realize that wasn't necessarily weight. Now that you're mentioning it, like that was just skin.
I get a lot of moms too. So like I'd say like 90% of my clients have been women. It's only within the past year and a half that I decided I only wanted to work with women and just be a women's transformation specialist. So I get clients from the ages of 18 all the way up to 60 is my oldest client right now. And all different body types, all mothers, students, healthcare workers. Some of them do it all at the same time. So, I've literally seen every scenario that you can think of, and all across the board, it's balance. That's what it is. And going back to what Taryn was saying, how people want to come in and they want to lose like 50 pounds in 2 months. It's because we live in a society of instant gratification. Like we want to be able to buy something and then it work right away. Or people would rather take diet pills.
Minimal effort for max results.
Yeah, exactly. Like some people, like it's crazy. I've heard people tell me like, this is too much food. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, can you just like put me on like 1,000 calories so I can lose weight quicker? I'm like, you'd rather be miserable.
Who says that?
A lot
That's
of
not
You would
even
be
people.
surprised.
reason. That's
A
not
lot.
even
Really?
A
reasonable.
lot
I'd
of
be
people.
happy if you told me to eat steak every day. I'd be like,
Right?
yeah,
Yeah, a lot of people just
you're
want to
telling
be
me
on the
this is gonna work?
yeah, they want to be on the 1,000 calorie diet, one, so they don't have to cook as often, and two, because they want to like lose weight at a rapid rate. I'm like, you'd rather be hangry and miserable than
Yeah,
be
fuck that.
thin and full. Like
No, thank you.
it's so strange. Like I see it all the time, all the
That's
time.
crazy. Okay,
Yeah.
so now I do want to ask you about your business in particular. And do you think that in the industry you are perceived differently because of your blindness, or that you have to work harder at winning your clients' trust because of your disability?
I do actually. I'd be lying if I said, "Oh no." Like, it's because at the end of the day, like I'm a very honest person. I'm a positive person, but I'm also a very realistic person. And let's be for real. The fitness industry is a very vision dominated industry
Yes.
based on the fact that it focuses so much on appearance.
Yes.
Mhm.
And what do people usually used to seeing when they think of a blind person? Like sunglasses, mismatched clothes, like, or Daredevil. Don't even get started. Like, it's like you're either
Sure.
this helpless person fucking bumping into shit, or you're Daredevil. Like there's no in between.
Yeah.
So yeah, so and especially in the beginning, I mean, I think for me it was a little easier because before I became a personal trainer, I was already a bodybuilder. So people could look at me and be like, okay, well, if she looks like that, then
She knows what
obviously
she's doing.
she must know something. But even then, there were a few people that were like, well, how is she going to train me? And I
Yeah.
did have to prove myself. So when I was going to start my business, I basically put a call out for what I call billboard clients. So I had never had any transformations to show. I had given a lot of shit away for free because I didn't think I was going to be good enough to be a trainer. So if people wanted a meal plan from me, I just gave it to them. I never asked for pictures. Like I never charged them for it.
Yeah,
But when
you
I
sent me a
decided-
meal plan once. I followed it for like 2 weeks and then it broke my heart. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm sorry.
It's fine. So yeah, so when I officially decided to take the plunge and name my business and put myself out there, I said I want 2 billboard clients because I knew one of them wasn't going to follow it.
So
Jocelyn.
No, it wasn't her. It wasn't her. And I put rules around it. I even made them sign a contract. Like, you have to be willing to dedicate X amount of weeks to go to the gym. You have to be willing to dedicate 80% at least to this meal plan that I give you. You have to send pictures every week. And if you don't, I will revoke this deal at any time.
Mhm.
So one of them did end up not following through, but the other one, who was a bride, she was getting ready for her wedding, and I knew that she was going to stick with it because I knew she wanted to fit in that dress.
Yeah.
So
That's a big motivator.
Right?
yeah.
True.
So sure enough, she got an amazing transformation in the 10 weeks that she was with me, and that was enough for people to see that I knew what I was doing. And then I just kept getting more and more clients, and then I started transitioning more to online. So I do in person and online. But yeah, and I have had a few people come back to me and tell me that other trainers in town are just like, well, who wants to train with a blind person? Well, come fucking find out. Come watch and you'll see, because every ass that walks out of this gym looks great. So
I have a question. When you're like training people, sometimes like the moves can be very visual. Like I know, like I don't know every like move. I don't know. Let me think of one. I don't know. Shit. I don't know every move that there is out there. So like when you want to make sure that someone's doing the move correctly, how do you check that?
Do you
How
feel
do you
them?
check their form? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I learned this even from one of my old bodybuilding coaches. When I was doing something, he would even touch me and be like, you need to feel it right there. Because, so like,
Oh.
you'll see it all the time. So like, you'll see guys going to the gym and load up the bar, and then they're just like doing bicep curls, but then they're like arching their back, and it's like it's not even a bicep curl at that point. You're just like breaking your back.
Right.
So same thing when you're trying to grow, say, your glutes and you're doing a glute kickback. Some people will feel it more in their quad because they're not activating the glute. So he would actually like point at my glute and be like, this is where you need to feel it. Slow it down, come up slow, and then once you feel it there, that's the angle it needs to be at.
That's
So
so true.
And he would do that with everybody, not just me because I was blind. So I started implementing that for myself, and I would try to figure out, okay, how would I explain to somebody how to get in this position? And I've only have one visually impaired client right now. I work with her online. But all my other clients are sighted, but I am trying to figure out ways, like if I do get more visually impaired clients, how I'm going to explain everything and break it down. So I do practice that even with my sighted clients. So if I want to check their form, especially on a squat or a deadlift, like those are very good exercises, but they can be bad if you're not doing them right because you can hurt yourself. So I do tell them, okay, I'm going to come in and I'm going to put my hand on your back, and I just want to see if you're keeping it flat or if you're arching it.
Yeah.
And once I feel them start to arch it, I'll actually grab their torso and straighten it out and be like, okay, rack the weight because it looks like shit. We're going to fix this. So, and I'm just very honest. I'm like, I don't want you to keep going and hurt yourself. And you would be surprised how many sighted trainers I see that just let their clients go, even when it looks like shit. It's cringeworthy. So, you know, I am a very hands-on person, or I'll even tell them like, I'm going to do it and I want you to feel the way that I'm activating this muscle. And then it works. It's called mind-muscle connection. You have to think about the muscle that you're trying to work. You have to feel it in the muscle, and then it sends the signal back to your brain. Like, okay, that's where it's activating. So yeah, I mean, it's really not rocket science. I know a lot of sighted people probably think that it is, but you would be doing your clients even more of a service. Now, granted, if you're a male trainer and you have female clients, it becomes a little murky. Like, obviously not everyone's going to be okay with being touched, but at least tell them like, okay, stop. We're going to slow this down and take it in steps. Step 1, feel it here. Step 2, come up here. But a lot of people don't do that. And I was really privileged that I had a really, really good bodybuilding coach for 3 years until he passed away last year. And then I had to switch coaches, but I have a new coach and he's great too. So I have had the ability to learn under some really good people in the industry and then kind of take that, but put my own spin on it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because every trainer has their own style.
Do you think that a lot of people that are as qualified as you are and working towards other competitions or other titles, do they have their own trainers as well, or do they just rely on the knowledge that they have?
So for bodybuilding, it's most people, even if they are trainers, have a coach. And I say this because you're your own worst critic, right? We're all our own worst critic, no matter how good you look. You're always going to be hard on yourself. And you also, so if you're sighted, especially, you see yourself every day in the mirror. So you're not going to notice small changes because you're seeing yourself every day. That's why I tell people, and I do this with my online clients as well and my in-person clients, I rely on progress pictures. I don't care what the scale says. I don't care about any of that shit. I want to see what you look like naked. Or in a swimsuit and a sports bra and shorts, like not completely naked. But pictures don't lie. Numbers on a device will. They don't take into account water weight. They don't take into account hormonal fluctuations, cortisol levels. So with that being said, like with bodybuilding especially, bodybuilding is a mind game. Like, especially when you're depleted, you're cutting your carbs, you're working out, some people anywhere between an hour and a half to 2.5 hours a day, 6 days a week. You're sticking to a very regimented meal plan. You're doing all of that on top of your day job. And some people are even raising kids while they do it. So you just want somebody to take the reins and just tell you what to do.
For sure.
I know that's me. Like I can look at somebody's meal plan and just be like, oh, I know what I need to do. I need to lower this or add this. And, but when it comes to myself, I would second guess myself so much. And then I just end up stressing myself out, and stress is the biggest thing that interfere with your results, because when you're stressed, what happens? You get sick,
Gain weight.
your immune system lowers, you hold water weight, your sleep gets affected. So your sleep can even interfere with your metabolism. So it all goes hand in hand. So most bodybuilders have a coach, even if they coach other people, because they just want somebody to take the reins and be unbiased. And yeah, there's a few people in the industry who will coach themselves, but it's very rare.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Okay, I want to move on to I guess we should have covered this in your modeling, but I am interested. I want to talk fashion with you. I want to talk makeup with you. There's just so much that I just want to like unpack. But I think most importantly, I do want to move on to specifically like your stage presence and how you built that, also like your posing practice. So talk to us a little bit about that.
So posing is the hardest part. And that's not just because I'm blind, like that's for everybody. Posing is the hardest part because when you get up there on a stage or even in front of a camera for modeling, you don't have a mirror.
Yeah.
You have to know your angles. You have to have good muscle memory to know how to get into those poses, and everything is on point. And for bodybuilding, you should always practice posing, even in your off season, because it's just going to keep that muscle memory intact. And on top of that, too, the thing with bodybuilding is that if you're progressing in the sport, your body changes every season. So that means your poses are going to change, because the whole point of posing in bodybuilding is to accentuate the good parts about your body and then hide the things you don't want the judges to see. Mm-hmm. So most people will practice in front of a mirror and then not practice in front of a mirror as it gets closer. But for me, I've never had that advantage of looking in a mirror. So I really have to go by feel and repetition. And of course, I have a posing coach. Most people get a posing coach. If you're smart, you'll get a posing coach and not do your own posing unless you're like just really good at it. But most people aren't. They'll pick poses that they think look good, but really don't flatter them. And I've also worked with several different posing coaches. So I've gotten different opinions, and I really like the coach I'm with now. He's like one of the top 3 in the industry. And I've learned a lot from him. So yeah, so as far as posing, not being able to see, it's just repetition. I mean, that's really anything. When you're trying to learn something and get good at it, you have to do it over and over. Mm-hmm. That way especially for posing, like that way your body's on autopilot on show day. You can just go up there and be like, okay, I've done this a million times at the gym before, so this is just doing
another
it.
Time.
It's just another time. It's just another day. Mm-hmm. And same thing for modeling. I practice posing like at home. I'll practice posing even when I'm just taking pictures with my friends to see like if that's a good angle for me or not. I've even started taking a heels dance class, because the thing with me when I get nervous, I've noticed this a lot, especially in bodybuilding, my hands get very stiff. Like I'm like Ricky Bobby, like what do I do with my hands?
That's me. Oh my God.
Yeah. And it's a stress thing. Like you like the face is relaxed, the shoulders are good, the posture's good, but it's like all the tension was going in my hands and I couldn't help it. So I've actually been taking a heels dance class, not only to like learn how to keep my balance better, because as I've gotten blinder, my balance has gotten worse. And that was the feedback that one of the judges this past time gave me. He's like, all right, if you go to nationals, I just want you to work on your transitions, which is basically getting like sliding from pose to pose, because my poses are good, but my transitions were choppy, and that does have a lot to do with my balance. So I started taking a heels class to learn how to be more fluid in my movements. And we actually started learning like hand movements. Yesterday I had a lesson actually. And yeah, it's just like, you just got to be really in tune with your body is really what it is. And I think a lot of people aren't in tune with their body because they have low self-esteem. Like I've had so many consultations with people where I'm like, so what do you want to, what made you want to get started on this journey? And I hear a lot that it's like, I just don't like the way I look naked, or like, I don't even want to have sex with the lights on with my husband anymore. Like I feel disgusting. And that's heartbreaking, because at the end of the day, like it's not even about looking like a fitness model or looking good in a
Right.
bikini. It's about just being
Feeling good.
comfortable in your own
Mhm.
skin.
Yeah.
And especially when it's somebody that you live with, like, because I'm sure, like, I tell them, like, I'm sure your husband wants to bang you. Like, you could, like, you know,
Definitely.
like, you
They
could
don't
be in a
even care.
yeah, I'm like, you could be in a potato sack and he would
Pretty
still like
much.
be interested. But at the end of the day, we're, like I said, we're our own worst critic. And, you know, I did a nude photo shoot for the first time last year. And I was so worried that people were gonna like be like, oh, like slut. Like, you know what I mean? Because some
Mhm.
people are like that. Or like my boyfriend was worried like I was gonna get like all these creeper guys. But what the funny thing is I posted those photos. 90% of the people who reached out to me were women and were like, God, I wish I had the confidence to do that.
Yeah.
Because nude isn't always sexual. It's just raw.
Yeah.
It's the way that
Mhm.
you do it. There's tasteful, what I call artistic implied nudity, and then there's like a hustler. Like it's the difference between Maxim and Playboy, and then like Hustler and Pornhub. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'd love to do that, but my husband's blind, so it's kind of like
Right. Me too.
Well, hey, you
the
know what you
point.
do? You know what you do? You just have him go to the shoot with you, and then you have somebody there audio describing
Right,
like
Hey.
what's going on.
I mean, he doesn't need. He sees you naked all the time, so
Yeah.
it's like,
I know. I just want someone to
feel
tell me
you.
I'm pretty.
Yeah.
Like boudoir is becoming a more popular like style of photography, not just for models, but just for like women everywhere, because it is empowering.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I want to do it, but I'm one of those clients that's like, no, I'm not ready yet. I
Well,
gotta
that
be
could be something
comfortable.
you work towards.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, make it a goal, and then at the end of the day too, like just pick somebody who's experienced, because the more experienced they are, they're going to be able to guide you in your posing and pick your flattering angles, so you won't have a bad photo.
Yeah,
True.
for sure. So when you are doing your shows, how do you orient yourself on stage? Because you don't use your cane, right?
No, I don't, because it's really hard to hit those poses if
With
your
the
hands on
cane.
your
Hand.
sleeve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it looks awkward too.
Right.
Yeah, especially in bikini.
Yeah.
It's very sassy, and like you're a personality when you're up there. Like that's what I get. Like I tell people, like I'm a fool in everyday life. Like
Mhm.
I'm not a vixen or anything. Like I'm goofy as hell.
That's what I was
And
telling them. I was like, she's super down to earth and she's goofy. Like, you're not gonna be intimidated by her at all.
yeah, like not at all. But I do have, apparently my friends told me this, I do have resting bitch face, but I'm like, it's usually because I'm thinking or I'm listening. Like,
Same.
yeah. So when you're on stage, you're a personality. Like you have to take your mind somewhere else. And some girls will be more cutesy. Some will be more like sassy. Some will be more elegant. Some will be a little more sexy. I just go out there, and I think I'm a mix between just like elegant and sassy. That's kind of my and that's actually how I came up with my my business name, Blind Fury Fitness. I said that my alter ego on stage is Blind Fury. So
like
yeah, that's where my business name came from. So yeah, when I go up on stage, I get there early and I kind of just check out the stage, because that's the thing, like every stage is different. Some are bigger than others, some are more round, or some are just like are completely rectangular. So I get there early, and then like they lay tape for the stages. So like they'll have like a red line, which is like in the front of the stage where you usually like line up for comparisons, and then in the center, or actually like all along that line, they have boxes. So like 5 boxes, and that's where they'll like line you up. And then there's a back line, which is what they usually have bikini girls walk to. So they say, all right, turn around, and you get in your back pose, and they're like, ladies, please walk to the back line. They'll have you walk to the line, and you're doing it real sassy. And then they'll say, okay, turn around, walk back to the front line. So once they lay the tape is when I go and I'll count my steps. Like, okay, how many steps is it going to take me to get from the side of the stage to the center box where I need to start doing my posing routine? Okay, how many steps is it going to take me to get from front to back in those lines? So that's what I do. And then I do have an expediter. There's always an expediter on stage, but he's usually there for like all the girls. But what they started doing is giving me my own. They actually let Michael expedite me.
That's
these past
dope.
two shows.
That's so sweet.
So because Michael knows how to guide me. A stranger, a random person, it's like awkward, and it's just one more thing for me to have to think about. So I was really lucky that I started being, I'm not going to say a diva, but I started being more
advocating.
Like this isn't working. Like I don't prep for 4 months and be in the gym as much as I do just to be screwed over by somebody who doesn't know how to communicate with me. And it's not their fault. But I think it's a reasonable accommodation for me to be able to pick my own assistant. So
I'm so proud of you for that.
Yeah. And it was one of those things when you first start, because there's not very many blind bikini competitors.
Right.
So you have to kind of set the precedent, and you don't want to make too many demands. And it sucks because you don't want to make too many demands to be perceived as this person with a chip on their shoulder. But after I thought about it, I'm like, I have been doing this a long time. I'm like a veteran of the sport. Like, I'm not messing around anymore. Like, you know, it's not unreasonable for me to ask this after all the time and money I put into this sport.
Absolutely.
So they finally like said, okay, like, you know, that's probably true, because it's more of a liability to have somebody up there who doesn't know what they're doing helping me than to just let me have somebody who sees me every day. So, so Michael will just kind of walk beside me and tell me, okay, you're veering a little too far to the left. And we practiced this before, as well, like in the gym when I'm practicing my posing. And if he feels like I'm going a little too far off, he'll kind of just take my arm gently and kind of nudge me the other way. Or when I'm walking from the front line to the back line, he'll go stand at the back line and be like, walk straight. So I know where he's at, and I just walk to him.
He sounds so great.
Yeah, so my suit at this past show was like fuchsia, and it had like all these different colored crystals on it. And we had to wear masks backstage because of COVID. And I got him a fuchsia face mask. And he was like, I'm not wearing that shit. And I was like, well, you wear a fuchsia bow tie? He's like, no. I was like, you're going to wear this mask. So sure enough, like my friends came and I put his mask on the bed when we were getting ready to go to the venue. And they're like, oh, Michael, your mask. And he's like, I'm not wearing that. They're like, you're going to wear this mask. He wore it just to set everybody up. But then guess what? He gets backstage and all the guys are like, dude, that's a dope face mask. I was like, see, we all like it. Yeah.
That's so cute.
Yeah, so you know, I get assistance up there. I try to be as independent as possible because they do have a photographer who takes pictures of you, and it's like I don't want no random in my photos when I'm trying to like be sexy. So once I get to the box, they'll step off and out of the shot or whatever, and I get to do my thing, and then they'll come and grab my hand or whatever when I'm done and line me up to the side of the stage with all the other girls. Because they basically let you do your individual. Then you line up off to the sides with the other girls, and you're kind of standing there like holding a pose, waiting for all the other girls to do their stuff. And then that's when they'll start calling out their favorite numbers to compare.
Yeah.
So,
oh, wow. Yeah. They actually like call two of you guys, and you guys have to like go up. And...
They call us 5 at a time. So,
wow.
First call outs, that means like, okay, these are our top 5 girls. And then they're trying to figure out who's going to be first, who's going to be second, who's going to be third. And then after that, you'll file off, and then they'll do the next 5. So that's usually 6th to 10th place, and then 11th to 5th, like 5 at a time. So it was actually funny because at this past show, I got called first and put right in the middle. And then my teammate got called and put like on the outer lane. So there was like a girl in between us. And then they switched her and the other girl. So she was next to me. And then they kept switching me and my teammate back and forth. So we're just like looking at each other. We're just like looking at each other like one of us is first and one of us is second. Like it was so funny. Yeah. So when we got off stage, my coach was like, y'all are like neck and neck. I don't know how they're going to choose. He's like, y'all are pretty even. And he's like, so, but either way, she got first place and I got second, and I was happy for her because I've won a first place trophy before. She's never won anything. So
Oh.
I was super happy for her. And honestly, like all I needed was first or second to requalify for nationals. Like I don't care about winning a local show. I was just there as a formality so I could go back to nationals. So
Yeah.
I was super happy for her, but it was really funny because we're just like looking at each other as we're like standing there posing and smiling.
Who
and
is
it's just
it?
like,
You or me?
It sounds nerve-wracking.
It
I would have been like,
does. Man.
it's crazy because the spotlights are so bright and that's all I can see. Like when I'm up there, I can't see the judges table. I can't see who's in the audience. I can't even really see the girls next to me because I have tunnel vision.
Yeah.
So all I can see is the spotlight in my eyes. And I don't think I've started being comfortable on stage until like my 5th show. Like it got better over time, but like yeah, the more you do it, you just get more comfortable and you learn how to like just kind of be like, okay, this is my moment to shine, or you just kind of tune everybody out and just like go with the music. And yeah, it just takes time and experience. And at a certain point, you're just kind of like, you just stop caring. You're like, fuck it. I'm just gonna go out here and do my thing and lay it all out there.
so when you're waiting for them to like decide who's like in which place, do you have to sit there and smile the whole time, or do you just
Yes. No, you have to smile the whole time because you never know, because there's 5 judges. So you never know whose eyes are on you.
Yeah.
Even before you get on stage. So a good rule of thumb, because usually they have stairs leading up to the stage. So like they'll have some of us waiting on the stairs, and then there's some lining up on the side on the stage so that they can walk forward and go do their routine. A good rule of thumb is if the judges can see you, that's when your posing starts. And it's going to sound really mean. But if there's a few girls that are going and the judges just aren't impressed with their stage presence or their bodies, they're not paying attention to them anymore. They're looking off, okay, who's coming next?
That makes sense.
Yeah. So your posing starts as soon as they can see you and you can see them. So you need to start smiling when you're on the stairs. You need to kind of have your hip popped out and your chest up. And yeah, posing is the breaking point for a lot of people. Like there's been tons of girls that you're backstage and you're like, damn, she has a great body. She's probably going to win. Then they go up there and their posing sucks. And they get outposed by a girl who had a good body, but not as good as theirs, but she really knew how to show it off.
Yeah.
So that's why I tell people, like, always practice your posing and don't be afraid to hire a coach, because it sucks to put that much work into your body and then to let something like posing break you. Yeah, it's just not worth it.
Would you recommend for somebody that is blind like me? I suck at taking pictures, and even like when my makeup is done real badass and like I feel good about the way I look, I am always so awkward when it comes time to take pictures. Would you recommend a posing coach just to kind of get over that, even if I'm not posing to be a model or anything like that, just to be more comfortable in front of the camera?
I mean, that could help, but you honestly probably don't even need a posing coach. I mean, unless you wanted to, because not everybody can afford that. But if so, say it wasn't in your budget or whatever, I would just say like get on Pinterest and look up like poses. So say you're going to do a pinup shoot, look up pinup poses, or you're going to do a fitness shoot, fitness poses. Have a friend come and put you in those poses and take pictures of you, and just like get comfortable holding them to where they're comfortable. Because that's the thing. It's like if you're not, it's like I told you, it's muscle memory. So if you practice poses and you kind of figure out what's comfortable for your body, and you get that honest, like you need a friend that's like that honest friend. Like I don't mean those friends that are, yeah, don't be one of those friends. Get one of those friends that's always like, oh, you look good in everything.
You're so great. Yeah.
Yeah, no, get one of those that's like, bitch, don't do that again.
I mean, I'm that way, so I appreciate girls.
Yeah, so do that. Just practice posing in the mirror, or have a friend take pictures of you. Figure out what looks good on your body, what's comfortable for you, and just kind of like, I'd say always practice like at least 8 to 10, and just kind of run through them like a sequence, almost like a dance. I know you dance, so that's really almost what posing is. It's dancing slowed down, but you want every movement of the dance to be a good photo. Like it's just a sequence. That's really all it is. And it doesn't have to be like a big shift in pose. It can be anything from as simple as one hand on your right hip and the other one down. Well, then switch sides. Put your left hand on your left hip and put the other one down.
Yeah.
Keep one hand on your hip and put the other one in your hair. Switch it. Like, it doesn't have to be a big change, if that makes sense.
So have you ever thought about adding posing coach to your resume? Because you still know what you're doing.
Especially for blind girls, yo.
Yeah.
It's important for us to know, or maybe it is such a visual thing that you would just have to have someone look at you and say what your angles are.
Yeah, you wouldn't want somebody to look at you, especially for a photo. Like, I am kind of good at getting people in a pose by feeling. So I did actually prep my first bikini bodybuilder girl last year. And she did pretty well for her first show. She landed right in the middle. Cool. So, and honestly, I wasn't even going to prep her. I was just I was training her just as a regular lifestyle client. Then she said she wanted to compete. So I sent her to my coach at that time, but then he ended up passing away in the middle of her prep.
Oh.
So, she reached out to me and was like, do you have a backup choice? And I was like, well, yeah, but they're going to be crazy expensive and you already paid for full in your prep. So I told her, I was like, look, you initially wanted me, so I'm going to do it for free, because I know that if I was in your situation, I would want somebody to extend that courtesy for me, especially for their first show.
Yeah.
And she had already prepped 10 weeks and she had 10 more to go. So I was like, all right, it's going to be hard because I'm literally going in blind here, not just because I'm blind, but because I don't know what he's been doing with you for the past 10 weeks. So, 50% of your prep is gone. And so, I told her, I was like, we're going to have to pose every week. And, she did everything I asked her. She was a great sport about it. And yeah, I helped her with her posing. Funny thing, Michael is actually really good at posing too. He actually has helped quite a bit of bikini girls with their posing. So, but yeah, I kind of just assist. So if he doesn't know how to explain how to lift your ass in a back pose, I'll go over there and be like this. I'll pop their hips back for them and kind of explain okay, to pop your butt out, you got to imagine you're sitting on an invisible stool, but your shoulders are upright, almost like you were leaning back on a stool with your butt cheeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I do help some people with their posing, but it does definitely help if you have somebody sighted.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if you're taking photos, and who's looking at photos? Sighted people.
Sighted people.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So lastly, I did want to ask you about Miss Blind Diva 2020 and just kind of tell us what that experience was like for you and what all does that mean and entail, and what your experience was.
Okay, so the Miss Blind Diva Empowerment Pageant is a pageant that is hosted every year. This was their 4th annual. It's hosted by a nonprofit organization based out in New Jersey called Eyes Like Mine Incorporated. And this, like I said, this pageant's usually held every year in New Jersey. So they'll get new people from New Jersey and maybe New York who, come for the pageant. And it's for visually impaired women over the age of 18. And the mission of the Miss Blind Diva Empowerment Pageant is to empower women with vision loss by providing tools to cultivate and encourage their daily life experiences. So in the weeks leading up to the pageant, we have Empower Hours every Wednesday for Women Crush Wednesday on Zoom. And they have
so cute.
Yeah, they have a guest speaker every week, and it's a different topic. And
can anybody join?
So that's what I'm on the pageant planning committee for 2021. So I'll get into that in a second.
Okay.
But yeah, so some of the guest speakers we had were a guy who hosts a Toastmasters chapter over there in New Jersey. So Toastmasters is basically a group that gets together and they work on public speaking, so giving speeches, impromptu speeches, unplanned, and they count how many times you say
That would feel so hard.
Yeah, so that was one of them to help us prepare for our interview portion of pageant day. And then they had a fitness trainer come on there and put us through a workout. They had a former Mrs. World on there, and she was actually ended up being one of our judges.
Oh,
and yeah, so she gave us some feedback about like how to nail an interview question, and the evening gown walk and things like that. And then we also had my makeup instructor, Chelsea Wynn, who taught me how to do a full face of makeup without my vision, come on there and give some like beauty tips about picking the right colors for your skin tone, what kind of lighting is best for your skin tone, because we got to remember this pageant was virtual this year, so that opened the door for me and a few other ladies from other states to do this pageant. So the running joke for me especially is like, only in 2020 can a resident of Texas come in and win a New Jersey-based pageant from her dance house.
Do they usually do people that are in New Jersey, or do they fly people out to do it?
No, it's usually just people there in New Jersey and maybe New York.
How do they fly so many blind girls out there?
Well, it's just like, since it's just New Jersey, I mean, they just, they go. It's the New Jersey, Newark area. But yeah, so since they did it online this year, it like other girls from other states signed up, and and it was called the In Your Living Room edition. So on pageant day, like all of our segments had to be recorded in our living room. And that like was like threw me for a loop, because they didn't tell us until like a week and a half, 2 weeks before, like, yes, all of your segments need to be in your living room. Because I was going to go record at the gym where I had more space, because I was going to do either powerlifting or jiu-jitsu. Like, I was going to pull Miss Congeniality and throw Michael around for my talent. And he told me, like, it has to be in your living room. I'm like, girl, my living room is not big enough to throw Michael. He's a big boy. So
right, like I live in military.
Just throw him on the couch.
Yeah, like I live on the second floor. Like, no.
Just push
Flip
him down.
over the couch.
Make it look like you fell.
Then I was like, okay, so now I need to reevaluate my talents. I was like, well, I used to sing, but I hadn't sang in years, and my voice is not what it used to be. It's not trained anymore. So I was like, I need to memorize a very simple song. So that's what we did. We had to pre-record our intro and our talent, and then I did my evening gown live, and the evening gown and the interview question live. So like, I'm really lucky that I have so many photographer friends, because they let me borrow their studio lights for my living room. And I literally had a glow up. I was like so excited. I was like, yes. And we decorated my living room with fairy lights. I moved one of my couches out of the living room and put it in the kitchen so I could have room for a runway. Like, I went all out. And
oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah, it was really fun. So the Empower Hour sessions weekly were just really fun to hang out with the other girls and, hear different topics. Oh, we also had Marilee Talkington, who is actually a very famous visually impaired actress. She's been on NCIS, Law and Order, and she's actually a character on the new Apple TV series See. So she's visually impaired, and she's a huge disability advocate, and she actually started her own acting academy. It's called Access Acting Academy, and as part of my prize from winning the Miss Blind Diva pageant, I've won some free one-on-one coaching sessions with her for acting, which is great because I've been wanting to get into acting for like a year now. But yeah,
I don't know her, but I work with her sorta. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, she was really awesome. So yeah, and so what else about the pageant? Oh, we had to complete like weekly challenges every week that had to do with the topic of the Empower Hour, which was funny because supposedly when you win a challenge, you get tiara points, so going towards your final score on pageant day. And I never won a single challenge.
And won the pageant.
But I still won the pageant, and I was like, damn right, it's this strut and this dress. And I was like, I am gonna own it. Like, this is what I was made for. So that was another thing. If anyone is interested in signing up for that pageant, like, I feel like most people would have quit after they didn't win any challenges. But I was just like, you know what? At the end of the day, I came here to compete, and that's what I'm gonna do. On the day of the pageant, I'm gonna come compete. So they better bring it. And also too, networking. It was a huge networking opportunity, like getting to meet Marilee, getting to meet April, who was the former Mrs. World, and just networking with all these people, because at the end of the day, like that's what it's about, especially in the blindness community. It's
Yes.
networking. Like right now, this is what we're doing. We're networking. So yeah, so winning the pageant, what that entails is, so for the next year, obviously it's going to be a lot of go with the flow, because this is the first time they've had a winner from out of state.
Right.
So normally, if the winner was in New Jersey, they would like attend all the Eyes Like Mine functions, or they would go out and the community and do various things. So for me, I'm kind of having to do my own stuff here in Texas, but because of COVID, I have been able to attend a lot of New Jersey stuff on Zoom, with like I did today. But yeah, so I have a few projects in mind that I want to do. I really want to get involved with the transition visually impaired kids, so like ages 13 to 18, because I know I didn't meet my first blind successful adult till I was like 16.
Right.
And
That's a
I
great
feel
age
like,
to work with.
yeah, those are very formative years. So that's on my bucket list. I'm going to be speaking at the New Jersey NFB convention online, as well as probably the Texas one too. Daniel actually reached out to me today.
Nice.
Daniel Martinez. So I may be speaking for the TABS thing there, because I was on the board for TABS back in 2013.
I
So
remember
it's been a hot minute. Yeah, so it's been a hot minute. I haven't been involved for like 6 years. But yeah, and then other than that, I'm on the pageant planning meeting. So my duty, we meet every Thursday. And right now we're in the process of trying to decide if it's only going to be in person again, like in New Jersey, or if they're going to make it online and in person. So those are things that we're hashing out right now. Honestly, I think they're leaning more towards making it online and in person, so they can expand their reach.
Yeah.
And so
that'd be cool.
so part of my duty is not only doing community service and speaking engagements, but I'm also planning on the planning committee for next year's pageant. I'm also in charge. I'm also partly in charge of recruiting other people for the pageant. So if y'all are interested, I'm trying to get Jocelyn to do it.
Yeah, she told me. I was telling her, I was like, I don't know if baking edibles is a talent.
Oh my God, Jocelyn.
We'll find you a talent. We'll find you a talent.
She said, you got time.
Yeah, you have a year. I was like, you have a year to figure yourself out. So yeah, so I'm in charge of recruiting, and also there was something else. It's slipping my mind. But yeah, basically right now we're just planning for the next year to figure it all out, and it's going to be great. I have like so many ideas. I'm really excited to keep working with the organization. So as far as attending the Empower Hour sessions, we go live on Facebook. So we all log in on Zoom, and then we go live on Facebook. So you can watch them on Facebook as we're live on Zoom. But for our pageant planning meetings, that's what I was going to tell you, Jocelyn. We can actually invite people to our pageant planning meetings. Ooh. So if you ever want to attend one,
I do.
And yeah. So like I said, we meet every Thursday from, let me see, it's New Jersey time. So New Jersey time 6 to 7. So 5 to 6 Central Standard Time every Thursday. And yeah, that was actually on my to-do list. So we met last on Thursday. And Crystal, which is our leader, she's the president of Eyes Like Mine and the pageant. She's like, I want everybody to figure out 1 to 3 people to recruit for the pageant who might be interested, whether it's to be a participant or a sponsor or a speaker, and invite them to one of our pageant planning meetings. So there we go. I knocked it out. All of you are invited.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm really excited, because I just really want it to be good. Like the pageants have been good. Like Crystal's done a great job. But now, you know me, I'm a planner. So this is my jam. Like the hair, the makeup, the posing, the walking, the everything. Like I want these girls next year. So if you decide to be a part of it, like I plan to be there for every single one, because I want it to be a good competition.
That is so exciting.
Yeah, congratulations. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's quite an accomplishment.
It is. I mean,
Thank you.
you're a really awesome person. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm like sitting here like listening. I'm like, dang, she's
Fangirling.
yeah. At first, I was like, yeah, those are pretty cool. But actually, like getting like to sit here and talk to you, it's like, man, it's like you're
Pretty
pretty
dope.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's been great hanging out with y'all and getting to know y'all. It's like I said, it sucks that COVID is here because I feel like had it not been, we all would have been hanging around drinking mimosas right now or something
That'd
in
be
person.
great,
So,
Right?
Yeah.
Say
Because we're
no
all in
brands.
Texas.
I know.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being so open and informative. It's been really great talking to you. And I love you so much. And you're so inspiring and you're just the best. But go ahead and plug all your stuff. Give out like your business page and your social media where people can find you.
So my Instagram handle is Culprit, CULPBRIT. My Facebook, my personal one is facebook.com/BritCulp, BRITCULP. I do have a Blind Fury page, but I mostly use my personal Facebook for my business, to be honest with you. I just feel like it gives people a glimpse into who I am as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little more personal. Like they see more of my lifestyle stuff. They see more of my blindness awareness stuff. And that's what it's all about. Like I like to be very authentic with the people I'm going to be working with. And then I also have my Miss Blind Diva title holder page, which is facebook.com/MS_Blind Diva 2020. So different ways you can reach me.
Cool. We're gonna go like all of your pages. We're gonna go
Everything.
follow you.
And you're going to get like that top fan badge. Like,
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. Oh, well, thank you so much for joining
Yes, thank
us. I
you.
appreciate it. Thank you for giving us your time after I'm sure it was a long day of being in front
oh
of
no, this was fun. This didn't feel like exhausting or time at all. Like it was fun. I enjoyed
Well,
it. Thank you.
Good. That
Yeah.
means we can ask you to come back. So.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Definitely. Maybe next time we can talk about, some of the little more intense stuff that y'all talked about when I was.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can make it more informal, you know.
Right.
Jocelyn can tell you about our crazy adventures in other cities.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to share those. Those are fun.
Yeah.
Made bad decisions together, so they weren't that bad.
My birthday is one of them.
Well, I love you. Thank you so much.
Thank
Of
you.
course.